Hello, hello, hello! Welcome back, everyone, to my lovely channel. If you all have been here before, then you obviously know who I am. But for all of those of you who are new to my channel, I am Slade Bolin. And here today we are going to be doing yet another Star Wars Rogue One figure. Honestly, I have collected a lot of these so far. Unless even if you count the recently released Darth Vader figure as Rogue One or New Hope. But as you already know, I filmed that video already. But today, we are going to be reviewing the Star Wars Black Series Captain Cassian Andor figure, the Edu variant. Now, if you all don't know who this character is, he was in Rogue One. I believe his actor's name was... Diego Luna. I'm about pronouncing that right. If I'm not, you all can just leave it in the comments below. But yes, he was a captain for the Rebel Alliance in Rogue One, and he sided with Jyn Erso in order to retrieve the plans for the Death Star. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say at that moment, in case you all hadn't seen the movie yet, even though you should have, because it's already been released on DVD. But getting into this figure, I'm actually quite excited to review this figure because I think Cassian was the better part of new Rogue One. Of course, you all know how I do things, is I always review the box first. So, getting into the box, you have a nice shadow portrait of Captain Cassian Andor, as well as on the side of the box you have the traditional Captain Cassian Andor from Edu. Nice parentheses. Of course, you see this figure is once again for ages 4 and up. Of course, you have Hasbro here, the makers of the figure. And of course, turning the box on the back, you have the number for this figure, which in case this figure is number 23 in the Star Wars figure line, or the Star Wars Black Series figure line. Of course, you have that classic Star Wars lettering I always talk about in my videos, the nice reflective print. Down here, you have a quick little bio describing the figure. So if you want to read that, you most surely can. I would leave it there for 2 seconds. Okay. And turning the figure on the turning the box on its side, you also have once again the name on the side, Captain Cassian Andor. And of course, you do have the shadow print in the background, as you may. I don't know if you can see that, but if you can. It just says Andor, or Captain Andor, or Cassian, whatever you may call it. Of course, you all know the bottom of the box with all the gibberish and whatnot. Okay. I also have one gripe about the box. Once again, I don't know if this happens with your boxes, but my box, this figure came in ripped like this. Once again, I don't know if that was partially on Amazon's fault or the manufacturer, but honestly, once again, I do not like when my Black Series boxes come in ripped like this, or tampered with in any way. So, just a little thing to mention. Of course, you already know what I'm going to do. I always review the accessories first before I get into the actual figure. So the first accessory I'm going to review is his little blaster rifle, or whatever you may call it. Now, as mentioned before with the Death Trooper review I did, the blasters, his rifles at least, they don't really have much paint apps on it. As you can see, it is all painted one solid color, which is this grayish blackish color. No other paint details or applications present on this whatsoever. It's just one molded piece, but it is sculpted really well, as you can see here. Put a nice sculpt on the actual grip or handle, a nice little sculpted trigger within there, and nice detailing on the barrel as well as the attached scope. As you can see, it's just a standard push and molded gun, basically out of flexible plastic, which also explains why mine came a little warped. As you can see, that nice slight bend in there. But apart from this blaster, you also come with a blaster pistol for Cassian. Now this one is very much similar to my Jyn Erso's blaster. As you can see, it says a simple touches of silver paint with a nice black wash on the back of the gun by the handle and the back stock. As you can see, there's amazing details on this gun as well. It's just a traditional black and silver colored gun as Jyn Erso's. Same style, well not same style, but same the style in terms of paint. But as you can see, it's just a really sculpted blaster. As well as these two accessories. I don't know if you can technically count this as an accessory, but you could technically count his helmet as an accessory, because this helmet is removable. You just take it off like so, and of course it just slides off. Put him back here for now, and you can see nice detailings on the actual helmet itself. As you can see, nice detailings on this sculpted, I don't know what you want to call it, speaker piece, if you will. Nice detailing on this scarf here. As you can see, it's wrapped around the helmet as it comes down all the way here, and of course that's made out of a very flexible plastic or rubbery type plastic. I did think when I first got this figure that the goggles on the mask were removable, but in fact they're not. They're actually just sculpted onto the actual helmet itself. But though how it looks as though you could take them off. As you can see under here, it's nothing, just smooth plastic. But getting the accessory out the way, I think it's time we actually get into the figure itself. Now, getting into the actual figure itself, starting with this head sculpt. As you can see from the face sculpt and from the actual box itself, this figure looks nothing like Diego Luna. Yes, I believe that's his name. That's one of my gripes with this figure. Like, he doesn't really look like Diego Luna, but I can kind of see why, because this was a fairly early released figure for Hasbro, and they're not really concerned about too much of the head sculpts or the facial sculpts as they are nowadays with their figures. They're more along the lines of the accessory count and their articulation points. But honestly, what you see is what you get. Like I said, I picked this figure up off Amazon for around the same price as Jyn, which was $4.99. Maybe it's probably less now, but as you can see, it looks nothing like Cassian. But besides the facial sculpt, very nice, beautiful detailing on this figure itself. As you can see here, from the nice detailing on his fur here for his jacket. As you can see, it's obviously sculpted to look like fur, but then it is hard plastic. Nice detailing on his actual jacket itself. As you can see here, the multiple wrinkles in the jacket. A nice touch of bluish grayish paint with a wash of white to simulate snow or perhaps rain. I don't really remember when he wore this jacket in the movie. Nice detailing on the actual coat. As you can see, the nice detailing in the stitching around here, as well as the inner shirt he was wearing. Amazing detail on the belt buckle and this lower cross section here. Nice beautiful stitching, as you can see from that. Beautiful detailing on the striped design here on the sleeves to his gloves. As you can see, his gloves has some type of, I don't know which one to call it, communicator or whatever on his glove. You can see nice detailing here from what I think is supposed to be binoculars, maybe? To his little, I don't know which one to call it, ammo pack or whatever. Nice detailing on the holster, and then you move down to his legs. Nice, beautiful detailing on his actual pants. As you can see, they're made to look puffy as they did in the movie. And then you get down here to the shoes, or the boots as per se. Nice detailing on those boots. Nice touch of wash paint on the boots itself. Give it a worn look with a nice buckle. Also, fun fact, I did not notice this until I looked at both Cassian and Jin's feet. They actually do have the same boot, the same shoes. I did not really notice that in the movie, per se, but I noticed it on the actual figures. Like, the boots are exactly identical to each other. But of course, getting into his articulation, like I mentioned before with all my Black Series figures, Cassian just shares the typical Black Series articulation. His head can rotate 360 degrees, though it is hindered by this jacket, but you can do it. He can look down that far, which is fairly well for this figure, and he can look up also slightly. He can slightly glance up. Again, it is hindered because of this fur collar. He does have 360 degree movements for his shoulders, and his arms can go out that far, as per usual, and then it can go back into the resting pose, which is that much. He does not have a double jointed shoulder or elbow joint, so his elbow can go that far in, and it can return that far out. He does have a rocking ankle or rocking wrist swivel for his wrist. His wrist can go down that far, which is not very much, as well as it can go back up as such, and it can also rotate 360 degrees. Moving to his midsection, he does have an ab crunch. As you can see, it's very, very minimal. But also, if you can tell here, when you move his ab up, you can see that there's a sculpted loop in there, I believe, or a sculpted tie-on for his jacket, which I thought was very nice. They could have sculpted that in there, because honestly, it didn't have to sculpt that design, that little texture in there, but they chose to anyway. Of course, moving back to articulation, his waist his waist does rotate 360 degrees. Like I said before, I don't think he's not on the ratchet joint as I thought he was. So he's not on the ratchet joint, so his waist can rotate 360 degrees. Moving down to his legs can go out that far, because they are hindered by his outfit, and they can go back in, as well as go out that far. And they can go back as such, which I think is unusual that his leg can go that far back. And of course, his legs are double jointed, which I agree with, that they made it double jointed, so his legs can bend about that far at the joint, which is fairly decent for this type of figure and the sculpt for his legs. Also, this figure does have really thick joints for these legs, which you don't have to worry about these breaking, unless you're trying to break them. Moving to the feet, there is no ankles, there is no foot swivel, honestly, but there is a ankle rocker pivot for his ankle, so his foot does go down that far, which is fairly good compared to the sculpt, and his foot can also go back up as such. And his ankle, of course, has that classic ankle rocker swivel. It does swivel 360 degrees. So, like I said, pretty much the articulation for this guy is limited, mainly for this type of sculpt this figure is, as well as the jacket. But in terms of the figure, he's actually not that bad. Of course, you have his little holster here, as well as the flexible soft rubber or soft plastic strap, and this gun simply slides in as such, and you just close that in with the peg in right there. But as I mentioned before, this guy is not that bad in terms of Black Series figures. Again, I wish he was kind of better in terms of his articulation, but I can kind of see where that would become a problem with his outfit. So honestly, I'm going to give this figure a 10 out of 10 for its overall sculpt in terms of authenticity. As you can tell, it looks just like him, the Cassian from the movie. Well, partially because of his face, because his face looks nothing like Cassian. But in terms of this figure, it's just a typical Black Series figure. So what you see is what you're obviously going to get. So you have Cassian along with his free accessories. And that is pretty much the end of this video. Of course, if you all like this video, you all know what to do. Don't forget leaving a like and subscribing. Of course, you don't have to if you don't want to. Only if you want to make a guy really happy, then you most surely can. So that was pretty much my review, and have a nice day.